the SafeHiring Solutions system. For those of you that do not use the app screen process, we'll touch on that briefly so that you know how it works if you are interested. And then we'll also touch on the pre-adverse adverse action capability within SafeHire. Just a couple of notes before we get started. We do have a new client support phone number that you can use if you have questions. We'll come to myself or one of our team members here so that we can assist you with questions that you may have. That number is 866-443-0003. And you can also reach someone via support@safehiringsolutions.com. If you have questions after the webinar, feel free to reach out to us via email or via the client services phone number, and we will be happy to answer your questions. If you have changes that you'd like to make your account via your app screen, or if you're not using AppScreen currently, if you'd like to be able to have that capability, feel free to reach out to us and we can help you through that process. First thing that we want to touch on today is the AppScreen process. AppScreen is a paperless process that is available to our clients free of charge. AppScreen allows you to provide a candidate with a link so that the applicant can submit their background check authorization, sign electronically, and pay for the background check if you wish directly to SafeHiring Solutions. It eliminates the need for someone internally at your organization to collect a paper authorization form, manually log into our system, order the report, and then store that sensitive data somewhere within your office. We can create AppScreen so that you have different types of packages attached to the app screen. If you would like to still manually order reports, you always have that capability. AppScreen allows you to provide the candidate the link via email, or you can actually initiate invitations. This is dashboard for a client who actually has AppScreen capability. Most people that use our AppScreen process, most of the functionality can be found here at AppScreen Management. AppScreen Management dashboard, there are a lot of different functions within this dashboard itself. You have the capability to send invites to candidates. You can keep track of who you have initiated a background screening process for, where it is in the process, as well as make edits to email templates that you've created specific to a specific type of background check. We'll just start with the basic, the dashboard. The dashboard is a tool that you can use to keep track of who may have responded to the background check invitation. Once a candidate opens the email invitation that they receive from you as a client, they will have a link at the very bottom of the email that allows them to start the process. Once they initiate the background check, they sign electronically, they complete the process and submit to us. You'll notice that the status option, all of these say no response. There are 3 different categories for status on this dashboard: no response, pending, and complete. If you see the no response, that means that a candidate has not opened the email, clicked on the link to actually initiate the background check process. They've not responded to that invitation. If you see pending, or I'm sorry, in progress, that means that the candidate has clicked on the link, they've started to enter information, and for some reason they've left midstream. They've not completed the process by either They could have signed the authorization disclosure forms, but they chose not to pay for the background check if you are a client who has that feature turned on, or they started and they just had to walk away for some reason and never completed. That's what in progress means. Completed notes that the candidate has actually completed all required forms, signed the authorization form, paid if needed, clicked the I agree and submit, and submitted the background check to SafeHiring Solutions to be processed. That does not mean that the actual background check itself is complete. That just indicates that your candidate has completed the required authorization form and disclosure, payment, the process to submit the background check to us. So a lot of candidates, or I'm sorry, a lot of our clients use this app screen dashboard invitation just to keep track of where the candidate maybe is in process. If you've initiated an invitation to a candidate to complete the background check, it gives you a tool to find out where it is in that process. There are two ways that you can send an invitation to a candidate, or I'm sorry, provide the link for your candidate to apply for a background check. I'm going to back up for just a moment before I go to forward. If you notice on this page on the invitation dashboard, there is a resend option. For some reason, if you have a candidate that would call and say, I've never received my notification to do the background check, you have the option to resend. If you click on this link, it will give you the name of the candidate as well as the email address that you sent the invitation to. If for some reason that you entered an incorrect email address, you can easily change the email address here and send invitation, and then it will in turn send that to the correct email address. Okay, two ways for you to provide the link for your candidate to submit a background check. You can post your link publicly on a website within an email address that you have. Maybe you send out, maybe you're a client who sends out an email to a potential candidate at a certain time in a process. You can embed the link for the candidate to submit within that email. Some of our clients choose to post that link on their website, or you can choose to send an invitation to the candidate. It's very simple. You click on this purple send invitation. You can enter candidate's first name, their email address, start date is optional. Reference number, you can use this if you have maybe specific departments that you would like to sort, or if you have an internal reference number that you would like to use, you can enter that information here. And then you would select the type of invitation that you would like to send to that applicant. Most of our clients have different types of background checks that they run for different types of employee positions or volunteer positions. So this gives you the capability to make sure that the candidate is completing the correct type of background check. Please note that if you post your link publicly, the link that we create for you, when you post that link publicly, it will give the applicant all available options that you have within your account. So it makes that candidate responsible for choosing the correct type of background check. If you initiate the invite to the candidate, it just gives you a little more control over making certain that they are getting the right type of background check. Once you choose the correct type of background check and you send the invitation, you notice that that test case, that position shows up and it shows that an invite was sent on July 12th. There thus far has been no response. If you initiate an invitation to a candidate and the candidate does not respond, that invitation does fall out and close after 60 days. So it will stay live on your dashboard for a 60-day window. If for some reason you have a candidate, and I'll talk specifically maybe to some of our school clients, if you have a certified position and a non-certified employment position, you initiate an invite to a candidate for, let's say, a certified position. You then realize that the candidate should have received a non-certified position. You cannot just go in and initiate a new invite for that other position until you deactivate the first email invitation. The system will not allow you to do that. It notices it as a duplicate. So if you send a new invitation, please note that you want to make sure you deactivate the initial invite that goes to the candidate prior to you submitting a new invitation. On the dashboard, we've covered you send an invitation, you can see who the applicant is, who they were invited by, the date, and then you also have the capability to edit the email templates that go to the candidate. Regardless of whether you have the link posted publicly or if you send the invitation, the notice that will go to that particular candidate, this email is able to be customized. You can customize via package or position based upon your needs. You can make those edits yourself if you wish. You can ask us to help with that. Typically we recommend that the subject line of the message is online background check, and the template description reflects what type of position or what type of background check that you are asking of the candidate. You can create new email templates by opening the new email template. You can type in what you would like to type in. If you'll notice on this, this is where the email body goes. When the applicant receives this, this individual sending invitation is the person whom we have your public link tied to. Typically it's the HR manager. If you are not comfortable with that reflecting a particular individual's name, what we would do is set up a user that reflects it coming from, we would create a user that's, for an example, SafeHiring Solutions. So the company name versus an actual individual. Just note that your company is also noted here on the signature, so keep that in mind. If you need help with that, feel free to reach out. We're happy to help. This is where the applicant would see the link for them to start the process. This is where they click on the link and they can initiate the background check. So a couple of different things regarding the link. If you post a link publicly for a candidate to start the process, when they click on the public link, and I call it public, each one of the links is customized to a client. So if you post your specific link publicly and an applicant clicks on the link, they first have to enter their first name, last name, email address, and choose the type of background check that they want, then click submit. Then the system sends them the email with the instructions on how to complete the background check. If you as a client are initiating the actual app screen process and using the invitation, send invite, you are doing this for the actual applicant. It bypasses that step. You enter this info, you click send invitation, and then it sends the candidate the email. So in essence, it bypasses that first step that the applicant would have to do if you have your link posted publicly. Okay. Just want to make sure that we cover everything on the app screen process. That is a very generic overview. I don't want to go super in depth because I think some of you may be already using this system and may have specific questions about how you have your system configured. Others may not be using the app screen process and may have more specific questions on how do I set that app, how do I make that work. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have questions about app screen. We are happy to help with that process. The next thing that we would like to cover is the pre-adverse and adverse action tool. For those of you that are clients who have employee background checks, you are required per the FCRA to follow pre-adverse and adverse action in the event that you make a hiring decision based upon in whole or in part on the result of the actual background check itself. So a lot of you may handle this internally by creating your own internal email, providing the applicant with a copy of the background check as well as the FCRA summary of rights. You absolutely can do that. Keep in mind that you want to make sure if you initiate the pre-adverse action letter that you absolutely follow up and do the adverse action part of the process as well. The system can automate that for you. There are we have tools in place that will allow you to know that you have someone in queue that you need to initiate the secondary process, which is the adverse action process. But to actually initiate the pre-adverse action letter, what you will want to do is find your applicant. And if you see over here on the right hand side, there is a compliancy tab. If you click on the compliancy tab, you can then add a letter, and what happens is the system will then give you the capability to create the pre-adverse action letter itself. You can generate via email if you wish. We have this defaulted to postal service. We highly recommend that you send via U.S. Postal Service as well, and actually recommend that you send it certified so that you have a tracking mechanism to make sure that the candidate did receive the pre-adverse action letter. Once you choose which option that you would like to use, you can click Create Pre-Adverse Action Letter, and actually will give you the capability to view. This generates the actual letter to the applicant, gives the information to them regarding the FCRA, the dispute process, if they would choose to dispute any information. It gives them a copy of the actual background check, which is required under federal law, as well as a summary of their rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Once you close that, you can print a copy of the background check, and I'm sorry, I do not think that I'm going to be able to show you how to do that. You can print from the prior page, and I'm sorry, I do not have all the settings correctly on my demo account, so I was not able to show you that. I apologize. Once you initiate pre-adverse action, you should be able to print that information from the prior page. What the system then does, it kicks the candidate into the adverse action manager so that you can keep track of who you need to follow up and initiate adverse action on for a candidate. To do that, you can resend I apologize, our demo computer is not always the fastest. Once you hover over this, you click resend, you're able to initiate the adverse action process, which is in general the same as pre-adverse. Allows you to print the adverse action letter with the FCRA summary of rights, and I believe it also prints a copy of the background check as well. You can, create, you click on this, and create post-adverse action letter, and I'll show you what it looks like. You could actually print from here if you wished, if you wanted to print this to put in the mail. Again, we recommend that you send this via postal service as well. Recommend that you send the pre-adverse action letter certified. I don't know that it's necessarily as big of an issue to send this certified, but we do still recommend that you send this via postal service as well. So it sends the adverse action letter, again with a copy of the background check and a summary of their rights per the FCRA. So, fairly simplistic to use. It is available to you free of charge. There's no additional service fee for you to use this option within SafeHiring Solutions. If you have questions about that process or what your requirements are per the FCRA, please do not hesitate to reach out to us regarding that capability within our system, or just in general about the FCRA requirements for you as an employer. We are glad that you joined us today. We hope this has been helpful. We are happy to answer any questions that you may have. Feel free to reach out to us via support@safehiringsolutions.com. You can also reach us via our client services line, 866-443-0002, or via client support, 866-443-0003. Thank you for your continued business, and please let us know if you have questions, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you.